Good morning. Good morning. Truth Disclosure 369 in the house once again. Or should I say at headquarters once again. Coming for you today, greeting each and every person and who come across this video, greeting words of peace, universal words of peace. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Coming off of a holiday weekend, everyone is in their right mind, everyone is well. Despite all the chaos and the tragedy that continues to float around, that people are staying grounded. Just wanted to get on here today and share a couple of things real quick because there, it's really nothing has changed. But let me get to this screen share real quick. Wanted to go into now, it's a 50-50 chance this video is heard. If not, I'm gonna do something else. But see what's going on in China is it's crazy. I can't even understand how people with any type of empathy or compassion, characteristics that are in alignment with with godliness, or divine will. And I just can't understand how people could sit around and not feel like something is wrong with not only the shit that's been happening here, but like I said, every human being on this planet is got a crosshair on. It's something that people are obviously, and especially here in the United States, don't understand. That everybody has a walking crosshair. You have to be literally a part of a fucking. You have to be in a certain circle in order to avoid or have a easier pathway in the middle of all this shit that's going on. But everyone has a crosshair, whether you're here or whether you're overseas, and folks in China, man, they're I don't see how people could agree or even look at that shit and not wonder, like, damn, what the fuck? How do you lock almost 30 million people down and then don't allow them to get food, once or twice within the time period that they've been locked? They still locked down, and to a point where people are killing themselves and they killing their pets. What? How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you fucking do that? So this was an interview that was done between of course MSNBC and the murderer, Dr. Fauci, who knows exactly what's going on in China. He knows exactly what's happening in China. Them guys, they hooked up because the elite circle in China, he's all in with them as well. Because China is the place in which the origins keep coming up. So we know he has a stake in all this shit too that's going on in China. So let's hear what he has to say, because what he said here, hopefully you can hear it, is kind of fucked up. No, it ain't kind of, it's all the way fucked up. And as I look at it, and I can tend to stand on it, because of what this man's policies and the shit that him and the WHO, World Health Organization, and other organizations out here, but preferably starting with this man who has been the talking piece of this administration, the last administration, and many administrations with different health factors that were happening at that time. A lot of the shit that was implemented and stuff at these hospitals and all these medical institutions, it started from what this guy been saying. So I personally hold him accountable as well with the other people that, some names are out there, some names are still hidden right now. but he's responsible for the murder of millions of people with his circle. There is a circle. It ain't just this man. There's a circle. He's responsible for this shit. He's responsible for him and this shadow group are responsible for the murder of my parents, the murder of many other people all around me that are no longer here, that have disappeared over the past couple of years over some shit that's mysterious, that's caused this whole planet to be in an uproar. This man. So let's hear this. Let's hear what this got to say. I don't give a fuck if YouTube sanction this and take it down. I don't give a damn. Too many people feel this shit anyway. So whatever. But this man is a murderer, right along with everybody else in that circle. So let's see what garbage MSNBC that likes to spread agenda news, see what she has to say about this. Ask questions to him about. Let's see. I'm gonna stop there. Now I have been saying this several times, and I was saying it for a reason. That a lot of the stuff that they've been doing, particularly in Australia, New Zealand, Israel, and China included, that a lot of the stuff they have done have really been to the extremes in some of those countries. And knowing if they tried to implement that shit here, there will be a revolt, and it may be violent. And they know this shit. They know that the United States has a bunch of, look at all the killing that's going on. Look at all this shit that's happening. There's too many people here that's rebellious. There's too many people here that are caught up on some other social issue or whatever, and they're just ready to let that negative energy off on whatever. And there's too many people here. There's too many weapons out here, legal and illegal. They know it'll be a difficult task to do that shit. A lot of these other countries that have been implementing shit like that to them extremes are countries in which they have certain laws in place in which stripped their population over the years ago, before all this stuff started happening, of some of those same things that we still have in play today, like guns and all this other stuff. A lot of them passed laws where they can't even have guns in their houses. They can't have that shit. So it's easier for them to implement shit like that. So they know what's happening here. They know what the fuck they can do here and what they can't do, and what they're slowly trying to implement so people can accept it. And he just basically fucking verified that shit. Let me go ahead and continue. This is another thing that a lot of people have spoken out on, because it's the reality of it. They never said lockdowns would be used for people to get locked down, people to get locked down, to get vaccinated, and all this other shit. That wasn't what they. I mean, motherfucker always kept saying, "Stop the spread, stop the spread, stop the spread." They never said lockdowns were implemented so that everybody could get vaccinated. If that's the case, then why right now, presently, you have all this stuff going on in China, and that country, that area where they're at, Shanghai, is 90% vaccinated, but yet they have to go and lock almost 30 million people down, kill their pets, lock them down for weeks at a time while they're running out of food and shit. Where's the common sense behind that? Where's the critical thinking behind that? So, and over here, that was never said, that the lockdowns were used to get people vaccinated. So once again, as as I repeat shit that I said over the last several times, what's in the dark slowly come out to the light. Let's continue. And I'll stop it there. But I had to use somebody else's clip because if you go on, I actually tried to find that whole interview with Andrea Mitchell of MSNBC, and I couldn't find that for some reason. So I had to go to somebody else who already had that. But I'm pretty sure they don't want people to hear that out of the horse's mouth. You know, this same dude that lied in front of Congress numerous times about this same issue that continue to flip-flop back and forth. And basically, it's the COVID czar that provided all the information for all hospitals, all health departments and stuff to move off of. And you see here, there's a lot of tables missing spaces. And there's still people passing away. I think I just saw this morning. Some people may know who the guy is, some may not, but DJ K Slay, who's instrumental in hip hop world, he passed away from COVID-19. And sad, because I look at it as another person was murdered. So let me go to this real quick. You folks, man. Hold on 1 minute. Trying to get the hell out. Oh. It's super sad that oh, that's not it. Let me get out of there. But I'm gonna go to another article real quick. And it's sad that you know, people still China is actually going through a lot. I mean, the far as with their GDP, you know, the same shit that this, hold on, all this stuff is popping up. All this stuff that's been happening to the United States. I guess people act like, oh, it just happened in the United States, it's not happening nowhere else. But that stuff is fucking with other countries' economy, psychological shit that's happening with people, having mental breakdowns. It's happening to everybody. But the question still remains, how do a country or how do an area that has 90% vaccination, because, you know, under that shit, they forced everybody to get that shit. How do you have 90% and you have all this shit happening? China's economic trends hint, and it's the New York Times, have truck drivers on highways halted production lines, forced some importers to source goods from outside China. Sounds like the same shit what's been going on over here. And it's just, how do you do that? How do you go from hold on, let me go to China spending and employment hit, Shanghai lockdown. How do you do that? How do you do that? And the sad thing about it, a lot of people thought that the stuff that was going on in China with the people screaming from their balconies, and a lot of people thought that shit was fake. And it turns out that shit is real talk, to a point where the United States had to remove U.S. envoys and personnel there. And the question still remains: how did that even happen? How does that happen? How does that happen? So with the let's go to this Newsweek article. Now this is from the 10th, back on the 10th. Why China sticks with costly lockdowns and zero COVID. Now let's go down. It's a Newsweek article. As the occupants of a high-rise apartment block in Western Shanghai sang from their windows in the third week of China's harshest COVID lockdown. So this shit been going on for weeks. A small drone carrying a loudspeaker sought to quell their benign protests with a dystopian message. Dear residents, please strictly comply with the municipal government's epidemic prevention regulations. Control your soul's desire for freedom and refrain from opening your windows to sing. This behavior carries a risk of transmission. Why? Now you have to ask yourself, why would a government even be doing some shit like that? First of all, why would they even be mentioning control your soul's desire for freedom? Like, don't people think that's fucked up to be saying shit like that? This is what's actually been happening. And then we go down with nearly 90% of China's population fully vaccinated. Many observers outside the country and some within are wondering why policymakers still refuse to abandon the zero COVID approach, despite the fears the strategy is becoming unattainable. With 90% of the population fully vaccinated, why the hell do you need? Why are you still doing this shit? I mean, it should be fucking obvious that this shit is not what these folks have always been stating from the get-go. 90% of China vaccinated, yet they going through all this shit. And you really find little you'll find some information on what's been going over there, but when you try and go into trying to find about them pets they killed and all that, you'll barely find that shit. And it's like really I don't know, people. People have a continued choice of free will to accept or reject as they may, but it's kind of clearly obvious what's going on. Let me see. I found some right here. And this is sad, man, because people may not look at it, it's a pet, it's an animal, but it's still a created being. A little lower than human beings, but they still don't deserve to be treated like this. That's my opinion. How do you do shit like this? You don't hear no backlash. You don't hear nothing. You don't hear fucking. I guess it depends on what country it may happen in. if it's in a certain country that the West may be allied with or have certain interests in, especially if it's a country that the perception of the people within the United States is that it's an allied country, you know, this shit will be blowing up everywhere. US would be saying shit like, hey, you know, they can't be doing that shit. That shit wrong. But Chinese city orders all indoor pets belonging to COVID-19 patients in one neighborhood to be killed. That was, and this is from March 30th of 2022. Now, this is when that shit first started and on up. So they done killed a bunch of them. That's fucking sad, man. So you had to ask yourself sometimes, like, what if governments in other parts of the world, including this country, wanted to do some shit like this? What would people do? Would people sit up and call their congressmen or their representatives and all this shit who continue to push for some of the same shit that's keeping people fucked up? And try, they can't be doing this. It's our constitutional right and all this. What would people do if these folks actually said, look, people that got COVID, pets and everything, we gotta go. You know how much people got pets over here. What would people do? Would people stand their ground? I know what'll happen. There'll be a fucking revolt. People will die. You think people won't kill nobody over their pets? Sadly mistaken. But they know where to implement shit like this. It's just like the old saying when you saw bullies and shit like that. I've seen plenty of bullies. Hell, there was even times where and everybody had a point in their life where when they were younger or whatever, they was doing shit, they knew they was treating somebody wrong, or they was doing something to somebody they knew damn well wasn't right. But you wouldn't do it to certain people. You only kept it on certain people you knew you can get away with it. Same shit. Same fucking circumstances, same fucking same thought process. So that's some crazy shit, man. And it's like, man, I send love and light and prayers to people in China, human beings that just happen to be Chinese that are going through this shit because of what their governments are doing is exactly fucking wrong. No different than what the governments are doing all over this fucking planet. Let me get out of here. But I had to share that shit with Fauci, man, murderer Fauci, because this is where we at, man. It's like I said, when it get to a point where more shit than came out that a motherfucker can't hide, and when people start doing their own thinking and analyzing, what's gonna happen when the majority of the people start waking up from this shit and see it for what it is? I mean, what leg is the government gonna use to stand on after they've been lying to everybody? What are they going to use then? Sad. But let me get to there's another article I wanted to go to. Hold on one moment. And of course, let's see. There was oh yeah, this is crazy. I've seen this shit. And it just shows where the mentality of the world is going. I don't know what kind of message that was meant to send, but this is what people are doing. And after we coming off the Easter weekend, we keep it in the same spirit of Easter, I guess, or the so-called spirit of Easter. Parent in bunny suit hands out condom-filled Easter eggs at Texas elementary school. A parent dressed as the Easter bunny handing out eggs filled with candy and some with condoms to elementary school children in Austin, Texas. Why? Why? That's all I can say. Why? What is the purpose of that? What is being achieved by not only dressing up as an Easter bunny, to suck, of course that's going to be attractive to elementary school children. Why? What is the purpose of putting condoms in the what is the purpose of this? People all over this fucking planet is losing their fucking mind, man. And the more fucked up a certain region is mentality, the stupider shit gets. Just like in this country. What is the purpose of this shit? Why? And I wonder, I didn't. I don't know of any parents. I don't really see any from this article, any parents. I'm pretty sure some parents had some shit to say. I mean, if you didn't have something to say, then shame on you. But what is the purpose of that? Fucking sad, man. Fucking sad. So, people are fucking clocking. And I normally don't want to touch this topic, but I'm gonna go on this topic and then get ready to close down. I just want to get on there and share basically what Fauci has said in the interview, the status of what's still going on in China, because what's happening in China could be happening anywhere around us, including our neck of the woods, if motherfuckers keep allowing certain people to get a power away to these fake ass leaders and rulers. But they're starting to uptick threat of nuclear weapons being used because of this Russia-Ukraine incident that's still going on, which I continue to not take any side because of the lying and because of the propaganda that's and it's easy to see that it's propaganda for some people. For some, it's we got to do our patriotic thing and continue to buy into whatever this side of the world says and whatever their media and everything else. But the lying is so fucking immense that it's ridiculous. So you have the president of Ukraine, who anybody can look this up, who used to be an actor, just like Ronald Reagan, just like Trump. Zelensky warns of Russian nuclear attack and calls for stockpile of radiation pills. So yeah, that just breeds fear and begins to stoke fear. And the sad thing about this whole thing is the United States is really fighting Russia using mercenaries and Ukrainian forces. They are the ones who really are doing this shit. It's not really Russia against Ukraine. It's really a proxy war. People may not understand what proxy war means, so I'm gonna pull that up. Exactly what proxy war means. Let's go right here to Wikipedia. Okay, what we got right here? Proxy war. A war instigated by a major power which does not itself become involved. Repeat. A war instigated by a major power which does not itself become involved. So that's basically, and there's been plenty of proxy wars. The one that's Yemen and Saudi Arabia and all that stuff that they keep talking about. All these are proxy wars. And all countries have had proxy wars where that major country is not involved militarily, far as troops there showing off their standards and flags and all that, but they're either fighting it using propaganda, they're fighting it using weapons that and aid, or they're fighting it using mercenaries. So, you know, this whole thing, and this man here, I have never seen them boost a person up out of nowhere like this president of Ukraine. To a point, this man been seen on all damn. I don't know if he's seen on all of them, but I know what the Oscars or the Grammys, one of them fucking shows, he had something. I'm like, damn, they even want to bring that shit in on something like that. People trying to get away from all that negativity and that horrible news and enjoy, you know, the Grammys or some shit. And here it is, a reminder. And all of it centered around this dude here, man. Now I don't know if they probably have it on here, but I went off screen. Let me get back on. Everything's centered around this man here. Like, he's been at the Grammys via Zoom, all this shit. Like, damn. And it's like it's so many swirling stories going around Ukraine and this whole Russia-Ukraine thing. And you have to say to yourself, when you're dealing with nuclear powered nuclear held countries like Russia and some of them other countries over there that used to be Soviet satellites and placed part of the Soviet Union, you have to ask yourself, with all the shit that they keep doing, why would you willingly provoke nuclear altercation? Like, why would you at one minute keep talking about nuclear shit happening, but at the same time you doing more and more to embolden somebody to do that shit? Me personally, they will never use nuclear weapons again. I don't care who talking about it. Russia, United States, China, whoever, North Korea, they will never use nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons will not be allowed to be used anymore. And that's really leading into another story. One day I will get on it. I will touch on that. But for a person who know history, if you look at the last time a nuclear weaponry was used in war and conflict was Japan by the United States, 1945. None has been used since. The only time there have been nuclear incidents were incidents that were disasters at the Fermi nuclear place in Fukushima in Japan, and then Chernobyl up here by Ukraine. These are and then even the stories of why these places went radioactive is shady as hell. But they have not been combat use of nuclear weaponry since 1945, and there's a reason behind that. They're not gonna let that be known why the reason is why that happened, and I'm gonna put it out there, and then I'm gonna leave it alone because I'm gonna go back into it explaining. They're not gonna allow that shit to happen because motherfuckers have, like I've always stated, there's other creation here than just Earth and human beings on this planet. So when certain stuff happens, you know, it affects not only us, but it sends ripples and it affects everywhere else around us in the seen and unseen realms. And then these realms, motherfuckers have already told this government, as well as other governments, who thinking about doing it, but mostly this government, because these are the basic one government who's used this shit that won't be allowed again. And if you look up some things, there have been strange stories about nuclear missiles being shut off and taken offline and all this shit. It wasn't them doing it. It wasn't us doing it. It was something totally different. And this is what they won't get into. But they talk all this shit all they want to, but the whole idea behind that you continue to push people to want to do something like that, that's the whole thing behind it. Like, why would you want to keep doing shit that'll push somebody back against the corner to lash out and do something like that? But they won't answer that shit. They're not going to answer. So it's one more I want to share, and I'm gonna get off of here. Make sure I get. And this is from a French. The sad thing about it, people will scream that this is propaganda, but yet they ain't screaming about any of the propaganda that the United States is saying. But this has been blowing up on Twitter. And let me share this, because the media here wants us to believe that Ukraine is doing everything. They're in charge of everything with little aid that they're denying citizens in their own countries of having to just live through all this shit that we're dealing with. And this is what's going on. This is actually, and I've seen this on several sites. It's been blowing up on Twitter, but this is from a French journalist who was in Ukraine. Let's read what he has to say. And this is from an Indian news service, April 18th. This particular article is from the 14th, though. Americans are in charge of the war, says French journalist who returned from Ukraine. Both the US and the UK have openly stated that there will be no boots on the ground in Ukraine. However, according to a French journalist who returned from Ukraine, the Americans are in charge of the war in Ukraine. Huh? What? What? A French reporter who decided to come back from Ukraine with volunteer fighters informed C News that Americans are effectively in charge of the ground war. Remember that whole proxy thing? Mercenaries? George Malbert, senior international correspondent at Le Figaro, made the claim. And of course, it's a claim, just like everything else, just like shit that the US says. It's a claim. Melbourne stated that he had followed 2 French volunteer combatants who already had earlier battled against ISIS. I had the surprise, and so did they, to discover that to be able to enter the Ukrainian army, well, it's the Americans who are in charge, said Melbourne. Wow. The journalist went on to say that both he and the volunteer groups almost got arrested by the Americans, who claimed to be in control, and that they had been compelled to sign an agreement until the end of the war. What? And I'm surprised Google even giving people access to see shit like this. Don't know how long this is going to be up, or any information leading to this is going to be up before they take it down. And then it goes on to say, and who is in charge? It's the Americans. I saw it with my own eyes, said Marbury, adding, I thought I was with the international brigades, and I found myself facing the Pentagon. Marbury also discussed the United States supplying Ukraine with Switchblade suicide drones, which Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin emphasized in a tweet revealing Ukrainian troops were being provided with training to utilize the equipment in Biloxi, Mississippi. That's that black man that a lot of folks probably think he's a credit to, if you want to think on that type of shit, he's a credit to the black race. He's achieved something very few black Americans are able to achieve. He's become the defense secretary, and he's out here lying and following through with agendas that are totally disrespectful and are totally anti-human. So just to crush any type of deal on that, because I can give a damn about him or anybody else that sit in these offices. It's interesting. Marbury further wrote on Twitter, quoting a French intelligence source, that British SAS units have been present in Ukraine since the beginning of the war, as did the American Deltas. Wow, mercenaries everywhere. Russia appears to be very well conscious of the secret war being fought in Ukraine by foreign commandos stationed there since February. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they be? Russia has intelligence services. People that were trained back when the KGB and all that shit, man, they had one of the best. Of course they know what the fuck going on. And of course, they know that propaganda is being put out there. And of course, when shit hit the fan, when they start bringing all this nuclear weapons and shit up, motherfuckers get told, oh man, hell, the United States been fighting these folks the whole fucking time. And using Ukraine and Ukrainians as a stepping stone. I'm gonna end it there because this is crazy, man. And this is the shit that mainstream media and all this shit, they don't want to talk about shit like this. They don't want to talk about nothing that even remotely resembles the fact that you got a proxy war going on. You're sending all this money over here. You're starving your own people with stupid moves to increase the inflation. You're doing all this shit, supplying mercenaries, some American and some from other countries, fighting a war. There's lying going on all sides. Ukrainians are suffering. Human beings, anti-human shit going on, man. Period. To keep everybody batting their eyes and caught up in this shit while these motherfuckers still destroying economies all across the planet. Continuing to keep people vexed about the pandemic. And hey, the light is shining on a lot of this shit. Wake up. Wake up. So with that, I just wanted to share a few things. And it's getting more and more obvious day by day, but I just pray that everybody meditate on the fact that truth, disclosure, all that stuff. That was the whole purpose of coming up with the name Truth Disclosure 369. Truth Disclosure, and 369 actually are numbers that coincide with Tesla's number codes. Nikola Tesla, 369 is main numbers, universal numbers. And I'm learning on a lot of stuff myself, and it's always grateful to become aware of certain things and become more knowledgeable on certain things, not as a means to brag or to boost ego, but as a means that can not only help oneself, but others around. And it's going to eventually come to a point where everybody will see things for how it should be seen. And there will be a time when those who have been working against humanity will be exposed fully for what they have been doing and be held accountable for what has been done. And then a change will come. Everybody should always want peace. Everybody should always want change to come, where you have peace, where you have prosperity, where you have security, where you don't have to worry about doing certain shit or going through certain shit. Don't have to worry about walking around your neighborhoods feeling intimidated or threatened. You don't have to worry about feeling intimidated or threatened by politicians and so-called lawmakers and fake ass rulers trying to get people to do shit that don't make sense, don't add up, and then force feed deceptive information to people. Nah, people should always want the latter of being better off. That everybody is equally treated the same all over the planet. And that day is coming. But it's almost like, man, the purge, they got to go through a purging of all this stuff that keeps people going at it. And while we're going through this purging process, you know, a lot of this shit is continuing to amp up. You know, they had 3 subway, it started with that shit, that subway shooting. They had like 3 nationwide mass shootings. And a lot of this stuff been happening. They just never been reporting on it like that. Anytime you shooting, anytime more than one person gets shot, that's considered a mass shooting anyway. So a lot of this stuff has been happening. They just ain't been reporting. Now they reporting on it. So national news has been reporting on mass shootings. They do 3 just this past week. South Carolina, you had the New York thing, you had one in, was it Texas? Then the week before that, you had one in Oakland. And the shootings are now happening at malls, you know, at venues and stuff. So it's almost like it's coming to a point where, you know, that fear becomes to be a factor. So, you know, a lot of this shit, man, has to come out. It has to. And I just pray that everybody has the strength and the fortitude to continue to push forward, and that everybody be endowed with enlightenment and information that will make help them to make more wiser and discern more decisions that are based on discernment and the use of wisdom. Because, man, can't nobody say they ever lived in a time like this. When people say, oh, it's been like this before, shut up, you're lying. This is unprecedented because it's historical. And it's like that for a reason. So we'll continue to sit back and see how things play out. But always in the forefront, peace, a new world of truth, of abundance, of free of distortion and deception, of people getting over on other people and using talking points to enrich themselves. All this shit got to come to an end. And just pray the best for everybody, and that we all make it through this, see the light for what it is, and see it at the end of the tunnel as we continue to move upward through all this darkness toward a change, toward the revelations that need to come out about what these folks been doing whole time. So many people been lost. So many people have been affected. So many people are no longer the same emotionally, mentally, and spiritually after a lot of this stuff has been happening, and it's time. So with that, I greet you as I came in the universal greetings of peace.